what's the difference between the INFJ personality type and the INTP personality type? We're going to take a look at the INTP personality type for the purpose of helping you discern whether you're an INFJ or an INTP. And then, of course, we'll contrast the two at the end. But before we do, if you think you're an INFJ, know you're an INFJ, or are just curious, then I'd love to give you a free copy of my book, The INFJ Personality Guide. In the book, you'll learn about the mindsets and motivations that cause you to do what you do, as well as hopefully come away with an understanding that you're not messed up or broken, but just different, and the world needs the gifts that you bring to the table. You can get a free copy of the book by visiting infjbook.com. The INTP personality type is much like every other Myers-Briggs personality type in that it's made up of 4 preferences. Now, there are 8 preferences: extroversion and introversion, intuition and sensing, thinking and feeling, and judging and perceiving. And the INTP prefers introversion, intuition, thinking, and perceiving. But what most people don't know is that there are actually 8 cognitive functions or mindsets, and 4 of these cognitive functions or mindsets also make up every personality type. And if you look at them, you can learn a lot about any of the 8 Myers-Briggs personality types. The INTP is made up of introverted thinking, extroverted intuition, introverted sensing, and extroverted feeling. And these functions occur in a hierarchy, meaning that the first one is most influential. In fact, we call it the dominant function because it drives the personality more than any of the other functions. But the others work and influence the personality too, and they all work synergistically together to make a unique person with special idiosyncrasies. So if you look, there is also a second function, which we call the auxiliary, called extroverted intuition. And you should also note there's some balance going on here. The first function has introversion, and the second function has extroversion. You'll see that toward the bottom of the stack too. Anytime you have an introvert, the introverted functions will be toward the top. But if you have an extrovert, the extroverted functions will be toward the top. But there's always a balance, 2 of each. You're also going to see in this personality type that there's a balance in that every function is represented here. What I mean by that is there are perceiving functions, functions that have the purpose of gathering information, and there are judging functions with the purpose of making decisions. So you'll see here, for example, in the INTP personality type, that there are both intuition and sensing. Those are perceiving functions which gather information. And there are also judging functions. There's both feeling and thinking, not in that order, of course. And these help make decisions. So now that you have an understanding of the function stack, we're going to take a look at each of these in turn to help you better understand the INTP personality type. And we'll talk about the difference between the INTP and the INFJ. First of all, you'll notice with the INTP that they lead with the dominant function of introverted thinking. Introverted thinking is very analytical and logical, and it doesn't mind arguing for the sake of getting the truth through. Also, it's competitive. It really enjoys competition. In fact, you'll see, and this isn't as prevalent as maybe ESTPs or ISTPs, but you'll see some INTPs competing at high levels in professional sports just because they drive their personality, or rather, introverted thinking drives their personality, and they love a good competition. But you'll also see them in chess and some other competitive thought arenas because they love competition as well. Introverted thinking is efficient. It doesn't want to waste energy on unnecessary steps that they are made to follow. They're always looking for a more efficient, better way to get everything done quickly. And it's independent and private as well. You'll find that many INTPs don't have a lot of friends and really are most close to their family and maybe 1 or 2 friends. This isn't always the case. I know some INTPs who do have a good number of friends, but the introverted thinking isn't focused on the social as much as it's focused on the analytical and logical. An amazing ability of introverted thinking is that it's able to organize large swaths of information systematically, and it can withdraw from memory an amazing amount of information. And finally, another insight, and this isn't everything, these are just a few, about introverted thinking is it sees how the working parts fit together into the big picture, and it's able to break things down extremely well. One of the introverted thinking pastors I really enjoy listening to has an amazing ability to organize information and then get to the heart of what each part is for and what it's about so that everything makes sense. He can see how the parts fit together. The second function in the INTP function stack is an extroverted function, like I mentioned before, and it's called extroverted intuition. This function creates multiple ideas. If you look at introverted intuition, which we'll see the INFJ leads with, the difference between these two functions is that extroverted intuition multiplies ideas and keeps coming up with, oh, this could be a possibility, or have you thought about this, or have you tried this, or this might work. Whereas introverted intuition boils them down into just a few, and ideally the best one. But extroverted intuition tends to multiply ideas and keep coming up with them. So extroverted intuition leads an INTP to enjoy multiple ideas and projects all going on at one time. They also, people who use extroverted intuition, pursue and excel at a variety of interests. They don't just get into them, but they often do well. In fact, there's an INTP I know who's actually started a website for multi-potentialites, because INTPs, among other personality types who have this function, are good at a bunch of different things. So they don't like being cornered into just one thing. They want to be thought of as masters of a bunch. You might have thought about a Renaissance man like Michelangelo. It's likely that he could have been an INTP because he had this extroverted intuition going on. And then extroverted intuition is also interested in what could be out of the box thinking and possibilities. Finally, it brings a lot of enthusiasm about new ideas to the table. The third function, the tertiary function, is introverted sensing, which is interested in what's happening in the practical, concrete world. You'll see this in ISTJs and ISFJs as a dominant function. They're not really interested in new ideas and what's creative. They really want to think about what's practical, hands-on, and they're really good with their hands. Now, this is the third function in an INTP's function stack, so it's not as prevalent as it would be for an ISTJ or an ISFJ, for example, but it does influence the personality. And again, introverted sensing is also interested in the present and the past, so it enjoys the newspaper, current events, history books. What can we learn from what's come before and what's going on right now? That's what introverted sensing is interested in. And it does enjoy a good rut and routine. Now, again, if you look at the INTP function stack, you'll see that there's a balance in the middle between these information gathering functions. So the INTP is good at getting a balance of information. Now, they probably would prefer the new ideas, but they enjoy both novel ideas, maybe theoretical ideas, and they enjoy what's happened in the past. They can learn from both, and again, they can organize it together in a very helpful way. The last function in an INTP's function stack is extroverted feeling. And extroverted feeling is interested in personal happiness, but not of the person itself. Its own personal happiness is wrapped up in the happiness of others. In fact, it may not be happy unless other people are happy. Now, I should make an observation here, a note for you, that this occurs at the bottom of the function stack, meaning it's the inferior function and it's the least influential. So at times, this can just be put off to the side or not thought much about so that the introverted thinking can take prevalence and dominance in the personality type. But when everything is working well, the INTP does enjoy working with others to some extent, caring for the needs of others, especially in a good, well-rounded person where this has been developed. It enjoys helping and working with others. It seeks the good of the group, and it prefers harmony and dislikes conflict. But again, the introverted thinking can drive the personality so much that maybe an INTP doesn't see people for a while or doesn't prefer to make extroverted feeling as important. It is important. It's just that the INTP won't be as good at this as some other personality types, like, for instance, the ENFJ or ESFJ, who are always thinking about others, always creating environments for others, either for their learning and personal growth and development or for their comfort and their ability just to connect with others and to enjoy life or just have an environment where they can get things done. That's not the goal of an INTP. So depending on where this extroverted feeling occurs in the function stack, it'll show up very differently. So with all that mentioned, what are some of the key differences between the INFJ and the INTP? Well, one big difference you'll notice is what I just talked about, the difference of where extroverted feeling shows up. You'll see that although INFJs can be very private people, they're drawn to working with others much more than INTPs will. And although INFJs may not have a ton of friends, they will likely have more friends than INTPs will have. And they'll also have a higher need for connecting with others. And this is because if you look in the INFJ personality type, extroverted feeling is second. The function stack for an INFJ is introverted intuition, extroverted feeling, introverted thinking, and extroverted sensing. So people are an important part of an INFJ's life, and they're an important part of an INTP's life too. It's just that it's more important for an INFJ to spend time with other people. Now, an INFJ needs time alone for sure. You'll probably see the connection there. Both the INTP and INFJ need time alone, but the INFJ doesn't want to be alone all the time. The INFJ is probably going to enjoy working with others, or at least sharing with others more often. Another difference that you may have picked up on was that difference in intuition. The introverted intuition versus extroverted intuition. While both types are intuitives and do enjoy learning about a variety of things, the INFJ is probably going to enjoy working on one project, or maybe two, exclusively until they're done and finished and done really well. Not that an INTP doesn't do that, but an INFJ is probably going to really want to get one project done and do it extremely well. And again, both of these types have very high standards and want to do excellently with their projects. But the INFJ is going to want to do it well before moving to another project, whereas the INTP might have a couple projects going on at once. And another difference is that ability for the INFJ, using introverted intuition, to boil things down to probably one or two right solutions, whereas the INTP might multiply ideas and come up with a variety of solutions. The introverted thinking in the two personalities is another big difference. While both are analytical, logical, and theoretical, the INTP will be far more so, more analytical and more logical than the INFJ. And that means that the INTP won't be so prone to getting feelings hurt. It'll be more concerned with the truth and having a logical debate to the point that they don't worry about people's feelings. They just want to get the truth across. Now, the INFJ, again, does care about truth and can debate logically, but will be way more sensitive than the INTP, at least most of the time. And then finally, when you look at the sensing functions, you'll see that in the INTP, their sensing, introverted sensing, is higher up the function stack. So a lot of times you'll find INTPs enjoying woodworking and other hands-on endeavors and doing it actually pretty well. INFJs can enjoy these things too, but since it's an inferior function, they're going to do it more for recreation. And it could be a real weakness in that when they're stressed out, they may not think about it at all. They may become completely detached from their bodies. And if they're really stressed, they're going to abuse it. Maybe they just sit in front of the TV and vegetate and eat a lot of food, or just check out and worry about details more than they should. Whereas the INTP is going to have some more balance with that sensing function and probably consume more of the current events, and perhaps it depends on why this is being done, but might consume more of the periodicals like newspapers than the INFJ might. So those are a few differences. Hopefully they've helped you discern whether you're an INFJ or an INTP and help you see the differences between the two personality types. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's show. If you would like to learn more about this type of information about personalities, about how to grow as an INFJ, and about what makes you you, then I'd love and encourage you to subscribe and to check back for more information. Thanks again, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next show.